Hello, I am Rochelle Baloloy Lodovice. I am going to discuss a cognitive perspective on learning. The cognitive perspective traces its early roots to the ancient Greek philosophers who discussed the nature of knowledge, the value of reasons, and the contents of the mind. However, cognitive science was dormant as behaviorism flourished in the early and middle 1900s. By the end of the Second World War, however, cognitive research emerged as the computer revolution and breakthroughs in understanding language developed. Cognitive theorists focus on thinking, learning, conceptualization, and problem solving. Learning is an active mental process. We plan our responses, use systems to help us remember and organize materials. Next is puts the individuals back in the learning process. What we bring to the learning situation has a huge influence in how and what we learn. Let's go to knowledge. Current cognitive approaches suggest that one of the most important elements of the learning process is what the individual brings to the learning situation. What we already know determines in large part that we will pay attention to, perceived, learn, remember, and forget. Knowledge is both a means and end. More than the product of previous learning, it also guides new learning. For example, compared to fourth graders with little knowledge of soccer, graders who were soccer experts, soccer experts learn and remember far new soccer terms. Even even though the abilities of the two groups to learn and remember non-soccer terms were the same. The soccer experts, of course, organize and cluster the soccer terms to aid in recall. A good basis of knowledge can be important than good learning strategies in understanding and remembering, but extensive knowledge plus good strategy is even better. Let's go to how we categorize knowledge. Okay. The cognitive perspective recognizes different kind of knowledge. We have general knowledge. It applies to a variety of situations. Say, for example, general knowledge about how to read or use computer and useful in many situations. Next, we have domain-specific knowledge. This is to relate a particular task or subject. For example, knowing there are 9 innings in a game in specific to the domain of baseball. Another way of categorizing knowledge is as declarative, procedural, or self-regulatory. We have declarative. When we say declarative knowledge, can be declared usually in words through lectures, books, writing, verbal exchange, braille sign language, mathematical notation, and so on. Let's go to procedural knowledge. When we say procedural, this is knowing how to do something such as divide fraction or overhaul an air conditioner or doing the task demonstrate procedural knowledge. We have self-regulatory knowledge. This is the knowing when and why. Knowing when and why to apply declarative and procedural knowledge. Let's go to information processing model. Okay. Early information processing conception of memory used the computer as a model. Like the computer, the mind takes information, performs operations on it, it stores the information, retrieves it when needed, and generates responses to it. The computer model proved helpful but also incomplete also. For example, in the model, information moved through the system mostly in one way, from sensory memory to short-term memory to long-term memory as it does in the computer. But we know there are many more and interaction among the processes. Information moves many ways back and forth. Moreover, cognitive processes happen simultaneously, like many small computers operating in parallel. Sensory memory is the initial processing that transform incoming stimuli into information so that we can make sense of them. Other names of the sensory memory are a sensory buffer, iconic memory for images, and echoic memory for sounds. The meaning we give to the basic information we receive through our senses is called perception. Meaning is constructed from both objective reality or existing knowledge. For example, consider the symbol I. If asked what the letter is, you would say I. If asked what the number is, you would say 1. The actual mark remains the same. The perception of its meaning, of course, changes with the context and your expectation to recognize either a number or a letter. To a child without the knowledge to perceive a number or a letter, the mark is probably meaningless. Let's go to the working memory. Working memory define where new information held briefly and combined with knowledge from long-term memory. Resembles a screen of computer content is activated information and the moment consciousness. The capacity is 5 to 9 separate new items or once in the amount of info we can rehearse about 1.5 seconds. Recent theories, two working memory systems, one for the language-based information, one for the nonverbal spatial visual information. During of info and working memory is short, 5 to 20 seconds. Easily overwhelmed of cognitive load, especially extraneous load, is too great.